Hey everyone, Synthetic Future here. Welcome back to the attic. It's still a little bit of a mess and the lighting is a bit weird, but we'll have to make it work because we have an announcement to do. A very small announcement, or in fact even a micro announcement. Because yes, there's new micro coming to Voltage Modular. Although this is going to be a little bit of a branch from the micro bundle, we're actually going to release some slightly larger modules. Although we still don't want to call it nano, also on the off chance of infringing on copyright, so we're just sticking to micro, but they are going to be separate from the micro bundle. The first module we will be releasing in this series of modules, which will be a little bit bigger and a little bit more complicated, and that will combine some functionality together in one module, will be the console, which is actually a mixer style deal with 8 channels of stereo, in which you can mix all your sounds together to make glorious mixes inside of Voltage Modular. Now we tried to pack a whole lot of stuff in not all that much space, so there's quite a bit of stuff to cover in this video, so I think it's best to just hop into Voltage and get going with this. Alright, so here we are in Voltage Modular with console loaded and a kind of standard patch. So in general, mixers aren't all that interesting to talk about because they are utilities, but they are a very important part of a patch and of a workflow. So they are a very important module, even though it's something you may not think about too much. And to that end, we try to make a mixer, a console that is very compact, yet still offers all the features you need in your patches at any time. So this is kind of a standard patch you might run into with a multi-voice synthesizer going on, 4 voices. You can ignore the last 3 channels, we'll touch on that later. And the goal is here to create a stereo lead sound with some cool effects going on. So that's our little patch here. Bit of a unison sound, a bit of stereo. So how do we get here? Well, with console you get 8 stereo tracks. You can see them at the top here with 8 channels. And every channel has identical controls, so we're just going to take one channel and move down. We get our inputs, of course, and then we get a mode switch. Standard mode is active. You can also mute the channel or solo the channel just by pulling it to the left or the right. So mute it. Or soloed. Beneath there we get the gain for the channel. That can be pushed into distortion if you want to. With underneath there a little panning control. Underneath the panning control we get the EQ, which can be set to off or on with a low cut. Now this is handy when you have, for instance, a microphone and you want to prevent low droning noises from coming through. It's nice to have a low cut, or if you're having things that are essentially meant to be a higher frequency, but there might be a little bleed in there, you can cut out the low with the low cut switch. Nice little feature there. The EQ is a low, mid, high EQ. Gain for the low, the mid and high, and we have a mid frequency selector here, so you can tweak your sound here per channel. This being a mid sound, that's not going to do much. And we get a nice bit of control here for your frequencies. Underneath there you get the sends. We have 2 sends for effects buses, but you can also do a little trick with it, which I will show you in just a sec. Right now this send is send 1 is going into this reverb and back, and send 2 is going to a delay and back. So this channel is getting just reverb. If we solo it, we can hear that. If we look at channel 3, for instance, we can see it has a send 2. So that's where we get a bit of delay. And reverb on the other channels. Level control per voice is down here. And after the effect sends, everything goes to a second EQ with low, mid and high frequency settings and a gain per band. And under here you get a nice little limiter compressor to tame any spikes, which is very convenient to have, especially when the summing sounds. You can run into some level issues pretty quickly. It's nice to have something to kind of control the spikes. You get this ×8, so that's a lot of channels to work with. And especially since we're doing stereo, this is basically the most control we could squeeze into this little square module. Aside from the sends, maybe handy to notice as well is that we have a return and low cut filter as well for 100 or 300 Hertz. As you might have noticed, the last 3 channels are currently not active. We can actually activate these. And we get a bit of a drum kit going on here. We can pen sense. We can pan some sounds around. And this is actually where I wanted to show you a little trick you can do. If you don't immediately need the sends, you can actually kind of cheat a bus here, which is quite convenient, especially with drums, because having 3 channels is of course fine, but if you want to bring in the entire kit at once or lower the volume of the entire kit, it's nice to have a single control. And for that we are just going to scroll down to a second patch, which I will quickly set up, and then I will be right back. And here we are. Pay no attention to that odd other module you see there. It's of no importance at all. What we're going to focus on right now is this little drum patch I have going on here. Very simple little thing with 2 sequencers running a drum sequence. We have a bass drum going to channel 1, and we have a snare going to channel 2, and we have a hi-hat going to channel 3. And as you can see, we have all the levels set to 0. But you can see as well that we have the sends set. Now what I've did here is very simple. I simply connected the ins and the outs of the send together. And now this little level knob here is basically a group level. So I can fade in all these sounds at the same time, which is quite neat. So if you don't need the sends, you can actually group sounds together if you want to have the ability to fade them in and out in an instance, which is pretty sweet. What is also nice to know is that even when you group the sounds, you can still use the pen, etc. Or mute, of course, because that's all above the sends, so that's quite convenient as well. And while we're on the topic of little hacks you can do, is you can also make this a little bit more convenient with just a button. So if you run your signal from your send into a microamp, for instance, and control that with a toggle, and in this case I have a slew limiter in here as well, just to make it a little bit smoother, you can quickly turn this into a group mute button, which is pretty damn neat. So if you need that, you can easily expand that onto a module like this, but that's of course completely optional. And if you want to cheat a little bit and make sure that you have the beat always on 1 when you press the button, you can of course route the button to the re-trigger of your little drum setup as well, so that every time that you press the button, it gets re-triggered, so you always get the 1. In this case, it might be smart to not have a very long slew time. And it's a little trick to have a button set up so you can just instantly get your drum kits going. Now, of course, because we have a mixer with multiple channels, you can of course use extra voices as well. And there you go, that's Micro Console, part of the new Micro Voices series that we're currently working on. As you might have noticed, Lumnia is one of the modules that will be one of the first actual voices in the Micro Voices, but it's still a little bit on construction, so don't look too closely at it because it is still subject to change. That's it for Micro Console. I think it's a very handy, very compact mixer with a lot of functionality. And if you're making bigger patches, you are going to need mixer functionality. You probably don't want to spend too much space on your screen with mixers. And this is the, I think, ideal solution to get a high quality mixer. It's completely anti-aliased. It's superb hardware coding under the hood, so it's optimized and fabulous and ready to elevate your patches to a new level. So that's Micro Console, and if you have any questions, drop them down below and I will see you in the next one.